The idea of project offices goes back a long way. Originally it came out in the UK because of government needing to take control of the expenditure on large initiatives like wars. One of the very early projects was a national tax scheme designed to encourage productivity with the refinement and implementation of taxes, promotion of agriculture, and the importation and exportation of goods. The project office was the impartial group to run the scheme. In short, its function was to handle delivery when no other operational structure had the capability to do so. The 1900s in the USA had seen government corruption in the form of Tammany Hall, which embezzled large amounts of government funds intended for social services and development projects. The 1900-1910 period was the peak of the progressive era, which was a movement for social and political reform against corruption. The project, or as they called it, the Programme Office, was the answer. Indeed, in government, it would not be unreasonable to consider that the major focus of the PMO was to directly attack corruption in government's large-scale project expenditure. Other notable advances in project offices came about with things like NASA, the National Space Agency, and they did wonderful things in terms of sharing how they ran their projects. And you can even visit their website today, which contains many lessons learned and ideas about projects, how projects should be conducted. In the 1980s and 1990s, project offices were increasingly recognized in project literature. And nowadays, project offices have moved from being temporary groups set up to support a project to, in many cases, being permanent structures within the organisation. C3PO here is fluent in over 6 million forms of communication. And sometimes I feel I have to be like that when I'm working with project offices. As organisations have changed what they want from the project office, so have the names of the PMO changed. The early names, Project Office, Project Control Office, Project Support Office, reflected the desire to first create a process for controlling projects and then to provide support to those involved in projects. This was sometimes referred to as creating a centre of excellence in project management. In a centre of excellence, the project office was seen as the go-to place for project managers to get processes, to get training and coaching, and to generally improve the project capability of the organisation. Today we are seeing new names. Standard Bank, for example, here in South Africa, has a strategic portfolio office. They support the business in prioritising projects. They ensure projects are aligned with the strategic outcomes and they measure the results. In some organisations where Agile has taken hold, the project office has reframed itself as a delivery office, moving the focus away from traditional project thinking. Actually, the CP3O analogy is not bad for expectations of project offices today. Always needs to think ahead, doesn't take unnecessary risks, not afraid to speak out, gathers, analyses and uses information to help others, doesn't do the job but can advise and mentor, ready to admit if it's wrong, defers to his or her superiors, but normally gets their own way. So as we can see, project offices have evolved and are constantly evolving to meet the needs of the business and its stakeholders. One of the first questions any project office must address is who are their stakeholders and what do they want from them? There are three groups of stakeholders when it comes to the project office. The demand side is the management and stakeholders who want information and guidance from the project office. The other is the supply side, the people who provide the information for the project office, like project managers, project assistants and the finance team. And then there is the PMO itself. Depending upon their desires and wishes, we end up with very different types of project offices. Let's have a look. So N indicates lack of interest or energy towards the project office, and Y indicates positive interest and energy towards the PMO. So what happens if none of these stakeholder groups have an interest? I know you're thinking, how could this possibly happen? But trust me, it does. especially if the project office has been around for a while and the stakeholders have lost interest in it, or worse still, actively oppose what the PMO does. 3 years ago, I was working with a very successful program office in one of the finance groups here in South Africa. It was doing really well, but I was intrigued to find there was another project office. When I asked about the other office, the program manager told me, the truth is that nobody likes that project office, and as a result, nobody wants to engage with it, and largely it's because our senior management team think that it's bureaucratic, think they're getting no value from it. So basically, it's there, but we don't use it. The truth is that where there is little engagement from the stakeholders, the project office should be closed or reformed as quickly as possible. In this scenario, where there is active management from the project office, but little interest from the other stakeholders, the project office often falls back into an administrative function, recording meetings, hand-holding project managers, updating the database. In some large government project offices, this is exactly what the project office does, acting as a secretariat to the projects just to help them along. Frankly, it's not a great place to be. In this scenario, the management team are actively calling out for information on their projects. There may be real pain being experienced, and they may feel their projects are out of control. They don't know what the status is. Maybe they need to refocus and reprioritize money and resources. In this environment, we get the classic control project office. Their focus is on evaluating projects and providing high-quality project information to their stakeholders. It's in this environment you find PMOs investing in project office management systems and working with other areas like finance to unify financial and progress information. How about this scenario? Well, here there is interest and need from the supply side, the project community. This can come about when there is rapid growth in the projects to be delivered and capacity and capability does not match demand. The project community needs to grow, it needs training and guidance to make them more capable and more productive. Now the project office becomes like a centre of excellence and takes on mentoring, project reviews, health checks. Interestingly, this type of project office needs rather different personnel from the control PMO. Some of the best control PMOs I have seen have been run by finance people who are really good at the numbers and really good at status reporting. In a guidance project office, you need real experts in project management. It's also likely in a guidance PMO that the project office will in some sense own the project managers and take at least some responsibility for their performance and development. That may not be true in a control project office. And finally, everybody is excited and interested in what the project office can deliver. Now the project office has the opportunity to position itself strategically to work alongside the business in identifying, managing and monitoring the delivery of projects against the overall strategic outcomes. This is the beginning of the portfolio office. You can't just rename yourself to be a portfolio office unless the stakeholders want you, then you're never going to make it in this area. Now, I'd like to point out the idea of this model is not to suggest that all project offices should attempt to become partner PMOs. Rather, that the project office must align itself and its services with the wants and needs of its stakeholders. If it tries to be something that the stakeholders don't want or aren't ready for, it will surely fail.